guys, welcome to my channel and today's video. Today I wanted to give you kind of a real life example of our weekly science lessons. This year I decided to use Apologia. For the first time, we've never used Apologia's curriculum, and I decided with their Young Explorers Earth Science for both my 3rd grader and 5th grader. And so I think we're about 4 weeks into our school year. We do lessons 2 times a week. That's the recommendation from Apologia. And so I'm going to take you throughout our lessons this week, show you how it works, the activities, how we're liking it, and so I hope you guys enjoy this type of video. All right, just some overview pointers. I think I've done a whole video on Apologia. I'll link it down below if I have. There are 14 lessons in this textbook. I did get each of my daughters a textbook, by the way. It makes our lessons a lot easier. I also have the audio file of the textbook, so you'll see I play some of the readings aloud to them as they follow along in their own books. But there's 14 lessons, but each lesson has like a few days of work in there. So we normally spend about a week and a half on one lesson. So we are finishing lesson 3 this week and starting lesson 4. Almost every lesson has some sort of activity. Some activities are hands-on, you have to make something. Some activities are very simple. Like there was one last week where we just took 2 magnets and learned about force. So very, very simple. Other ones are a little bit more complex. They have to draw things, create things. So something I really wanted in our science curriculum was a lot of hands-on activities, and this has met that match. So I'm going to take you along. We're about to jump into our science lessons. I'll kind of show you our flow, all of those things. All right, so today we are on lesson 3, page 45 through 50. Last week we finished with this activity, and we're moving on to learning about the atmosphere. So we're going to read these pages. We're going to listen to the audio reading of them, and then we're going to end today's lesson with it. I'm going to go ahead and play it. Make sure you follow along.
The atmosphere. Take a deep breath and get ready to study the next system that contains everything you need to breathe freely. It is so big and complicated that scientists divide it up into multiple spheres of study.
All right, so now we're going to do the activity. So we each need a piece of paper. All right, you're going to hold the paper against the top of your bottom lip. Okay. What is the paper doing? Nothing, right? Okay, now you're going to go ahead and blow under the paper. Hard. Okay, get your notebooks open to page 64. You already, Amelia, yours is right here. Okay, you're going to layer the atmosphere layers. So where do you think that you're going to be able to find this information? Where did we just learn about the layers of the atmosphere?
Right around here.
Okay, where? Where do you think we just learned about them?
Like right here.
Right. So how do you think you're going to layer them? If this is the Earth and this is the Earth, do you understand what we're layering? Yes? So what are we layering?
The troposphere.
Alright, so now that we have those layered, we need to finish reading this last page, front and back. So I think we're just going to take turns reading it. Does that sound good?
Learn. Perhaps one day you will travel around the globe investigating all that life has to offer us on our home planet. One big happy planet. Before we leave this lesson, it is important for you to understand that each sphere is important by itself.
All right, today is day 2, and we are starting on lesson 4. And so today we're going to do pages 52, 53, and 54. And it looks like we have one activity today, which we're going to be creating a map. All the supplies are pretty easy. So we're going to go ahead and listen to this and then do our activity, and then finish talking about our activity as well.
Have you ever Lesson 4. Mapping your world. Worldview. Have you ever thought about how the Earth is really every person's home? It's also home for all plant and animal life too. Much like your parents.
In your journals, go to page 72. That's where you're going to do your math activity. So you're going to pick a room in our house. We have our notebooking journal. You just need pencils, markers, crayons, whatever you want. You're going to become an explorer. Your tools are your observation skills, your knowledge, your pencil, and your paper. So remember, this map is like we're looking down at the room, right? So we see like the top of the couch, the chair. You're going to draw the placements of things in each room. The map should include as many things as possible, and it needs to make sense, right? Like the couch is probably bigger than the chair, right? So we need to make sure sizing wise it makes sense. We also need to make sure there's a compass rose and a map key. What is a compass rose? All right, so while the girls are finishing up their maps, I just wanted to wrap up this video. So this was just a very simple example of what 2 days a week of Apologia Science looks like. These activities were very simple. The one yesterday, it was just kind of blowing a piece of paper to talk about air pressure. And then today's is mapping, really to learn. It's more of a preparation for like next week's lessons. I looked ahead. We're going to be making a grid. There's a like year-long project where we're making a earth. So last week we started the paper mache process with the balloon to where we're building our base of our earth, and then every so often one of our activities is going to be based on that. So next week we're going to start gridding our earth, where we're drawing the equator, all of the grid lines, all the poles. We're going to start mapping our continents. I really like that this curriculum is kind of adding some geography in there, you know, different map skills, things like that. So I've loved all the activities so far. Like I said, some are super, super simple. Some are a little bit more complex, but we have the Nature's Workshop Plus like lab kit, and so we pretty much have all the supplies we need for any of the activities. So something else that we have is the notebooking journals. These are not required, and to be honest, I don't use everything in this. I think I use it more because I have it. So like the map activity, we could have just done that on a blank piece of paper, but because we have the journals, there's a spot for it in the journal. A lot of these journal, or this notebook, is like kind of asking them to journal about the activity they did or the lesson they did, and I just don't feel like we need to do that in our homeschool. I want to show you guys a couple examples. So like some of it was fun. There's some vocabulary where they cut and paste, and then it's like lift the flap. So those were good, and those activities I did find valuable. But then at the end of each lesson, there's kind of like a recap. What did they learn? There is a, every time you have an activity, they would write about it. And I just don't feel like that's always necessary. So I do find us skipping a lot in the journal, to the point where if we continue using Apologia, I don't think I would get the journals going forward. I would rather just have our own science journal and kind of note things if we need to, do the activities. I'm not feeling like this is adding really anything more than what we already have. But on that note, I absolutely love this curriculum. I love the textbook. I love each of my kids having their own. I think that that's a really good thing if you can afford it. Find these used, because once you use this is not consumable. So you could find these used, you could resell them. But I think there's a benefit to each kid having their own, to be able to see the pictures. The audio book, that I could give or take. I think I got the kit and it just had come with it, but I don't think it's like super necessary. It's easy enough to, my kids could read it. I have a 5th and 3rd grader. They could read it aloud, which sometimes we do. Sometimes it's more of a hassle finding where we're at in our audiobook than just reading it aloud. So that's not something that I would splurge on either, especially if you're buying them used. The textbooks and the activities are really what I would focus on. So if you want to see more of Apologia as our year goes on, make sure you give this video that thumbs up, leave a comment down below if you have any questions, concerns. I do have an affiliate link with Apologia, so if you're interested in checking out their curriculum, they have a ton of different options for science. That link is down below. Thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. We will chat soon. Bye.